Alright, time for a quick video about how to remove the front axles in a Porsche 996 C4S or C4 or Turbo, and I would assume that this applies to the 997 as well, and probably the earlier years. It's probably very similar. So I looked online quite a bit before I started this project, and I couldn't find a definitive video that just showed step by step exactly how it's done. And to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised because this wasn't a very difficult job compared to some of the other stuff that I've done. So I'm going to walk you through just where the bolts are, what actually has to be removed in order to get the axles out. I've seen some people say that you need to remove the brake caliper, and you simply don't have to. So I'm going to show you what actually has to be removed to get it out. First thing that will need to be done is to remove the underbody pan. So there's just a few clips that need to come off, a few little plastic nuts as well. Not very difficult. You can look that up online. From the differential itself, there are 6 bolts holding in each axle that look like this with these little half moon washers on them. They are 6mm hex head. You just take them out to disconnect it from the front differential. And then on this end, the trickiest thing, or the thing people talk about the most, are these big locking nuts that go on the end of the axle. So I actually purchased a 700 foot-pound impact gun from Harbor Freight, and it made quick work of them. I was able to loosen them up even without the tires on the ground. The alternative is to use a giant, like a 4-foot breaker bar, but you could do that as well. The impact gun was just a lot easier for me. So the next thing that you need to do is get this ball joint off, and this is from like the steering rack. It's one nut, starts right up here. Take it off, and then I just use a socket extension and a 4-pound sledge, hit it a couple times, and the ball joint popped right out. They do make tools such as this. However, I didn't have any luck getting that to fit on there, and I was worried about damaging the actual kind of rubber on the ball joint. So I believe my method just was a lot better and easier. So you're actually almost done. Just a couple more things need to be undone. And let me grab my light. Here we go. You've got 2 things here. One is the lower control arm, and the other one is like a diagonal brace that comes from the front of the vehicle with this plastic shroud on it and hooks to the control arm. So the first thing that I did was I loosened up this piece so I could slide it off the control arm, and that was done. You can see right there, there's a bolt that goes through and a nut on the end, so you need to turn or hold one side and turn it to get that loose. And then the next thing I did was I actually took the lower control arm loose from the chassis, and you can see the bolt. I put it back in so I didn't lose it, but there's a bolt and a nut on the end as well. Now, if you have the bi-xenon headlights or the electronic headlights, there's also a little thing. You can kind of see it back here. It's like a little dog bone hooked to a sensor that also hooks to the lower control arm to sense the level of the vehicle and adjust the headlights automatically. Remove that before you remove the lower control arm so you don't overextend it or break it. You can see at the bottom there's just a little nut on there. Just turn it, unhook it, then you can hook back up. That's only on the driver's side and only if you have the bi-xenon headlights, I believe. So once the lower control arm is loose, that diagonal brace is loose, and the steering little ball joint for the steering arm is removed, you can actually move this entire carrier, pull it and turn it as necessary. And I didn't need any type of press. I was able to just push the axle out of here. It slid out fairly nicely, and just kind of move things around and then pull the axle out this way. And I repeated the process on the other side. The first time I did it, it took a little while. Then when I did the passenger side, I knew what I was doing, and I did it in 30 minutes. So overall, not a terribly difficult job, but it helps to actually see and know what you have to unhook to do it. So I hope this helps somebody else out. If you like this video, please subscribe and like it.